All right. Hello and welcome. Happy Monday. It's our last Monday of March. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen the memes going around. It's like March 97th, because that's pretty much what it feels like. It's like the longest month ever. And even if we're quarantined all of April, I feel like we've at least been able to put the month of March behind us. So we are closing out on a month I think we will all remember. We have Alex Carter with us today. And before we get there, I just want to go on a few announcements for you guys. So, sorry. Um, if you guys listen to the National Wake Up Call, Carl got on this morning and gave a little spiel kind of talking about how that whole, our whole poster sign thing all went down, and he shared just some numbers and stuff. And it's really cool to see how this home workout thing is transforming and how we can really play a role in the bigger picture. So make sure you, if you didn't already listen to that right before this, take a listen to that. Well, she may, please go. And then also we did that big virtual workout over the weekend. So on Saturday morning, we had almost 300 people join us, which was super awesome. And we want to do it again. And we're going to do it again on this Saturday, but we're going to add a little bit of training after our workout. So stay tuned for that. We'll be sharing that information in the team page with the links and more information to come. But I loved it. I love seeing all the people. I will admit, I am someone who actually thrives on that solo time working out in the morning. I love that. Like, I want to do it on my time, my space, and no one around me. But there was something really powerful about everyone and just the volume of people that came together on Saturday morning for that workout. So if you were there, thank you. It was awesome to be able to see so many people. And if you weren't able to make it on Saturday, mark your calendar, do what you can to be there this next Saturday. And if that time doesn't work for you, host your own. Put it out there, invite other people, because it really is cool to see all the squares. And, some people were doing the workout that we screen shared, and some people were just doing their own thing. But it really was a testament of the community and the team that we have. So I absolutely love that. And then as we get started with this team call, guys, keep in mind this time is changing, right? Like, we've got some challenges coming our way, but we don't have to stop. We just have to kind of readjust our sails, and that's what Alex is going to be talking with us in greater detail. If you guys remember, at the beginning of the month, before things got to this extreme crazy, right? Like, there was just a tad bit of crazy in the air when she spoke on the National Wake Up Call back on March 2nd, and now here we are, March 30th, and life is turned a complete 180. So she's going to dive in a little bit more with us this morning. She's an author, she's a professor, and I have loved the tips we got back in March. So I am like pen and pencil in hand, ready to listen to what you have to share with us. So welcome to the call, Alex.
Okay, thank you so much. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay, fantastic. So, and can I just see a show of hands, how many folks were on the National Wake Up Call back in, or saw my National Wake Up Call? Okay, all right, so you saw it earlier in the month. And Megan, until you said that, I had not focused on the fact that that was also March. I mean, I thought that January was a long month, and this feels like several years in the last month. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I'll just do a quick refresher, all right, about me and what I do and what I spoke about on the National Wake Up Call. And then I'm actually going to give you guys on here today a completely new guide that I have prepared to thinking about how to negotiate yourself through a crisis. And these are tips that I prepared for Carl and for upper management in Beachbody, and which I will premiere on the Champions page tomorrow. But you guys are the first people to be getting this guide here today. So I'm really, really pumped to be able to give this to you. So who am I? I am a professor at Columbia Law School. Yes, I train judges, I train UN diplomats, I teach negotiation. Here's the thing, I'm also a mom, and I'm a woman in a very male-dominated field. And so I think a lot of people look at my resume and they think, wow, this woman must have been born saying, I'm ready to ask for more. I'm here, I feel like a confident negotiator. And I'm here to tell you that that is actually not the case. The first time I ever had to negotiate for my salary was when I joined the faculty at Columbia Law School. I was in my 30s, okay? So I started behind, I was, teaching a lot, but I still had to catch up when it came to like claiming my own worth, okay? So back in 2018, when I started writing this book, and my book is coming out, yes, it's coming out May 5th in the midst of a global pandemic. That's right. I wrote this book and I was in kind of a rough place. I found out that I had to have 2 huge foot surgeries on each of my feet. I was in a rented hospital bed, ladies, for 3 months out of 2018, okay, with my leg in the air, not able to do much. And after those surgeries, I spent months recuperating. And so that's why I actually messaged Kat when we were first convening on the call together. And I wrote to her and said, "Are you the Kat from 21 Day Fix?" And here's why. Because I had basically 2 broken feet and I had to get into exercise really, really slowly. And I did the modifier on 21 Day Fix. The truth is, I'm still doing the modifier, and you got me through months and months. So I want to shout you out, Kat, and just say that my eyes were on you for months and months, and you got me through. So what I discovered during this dark time, was that, first of all, the dark time served me because it helped me to come up with a way to think about negotiating that I knew everybody, not just if you're a guy, not just if you've been in business for like 30 years or you're a politician, but something that I, as a woman, felt like I could really do. And what I discovered is that negotiation is not just hustling people for money. It's not like a back and forth over money. What it is steering relationships. When you negotiate with people, what you are doing
I
is
was upside down.
Hey, okay, just good. Okay. You are steering relationships. And what is the most important relationship you have of your life? It's the relationship you have with yourself. And so the thing is, before you negotiate your business or anything else, it is really important to steer that conversation with yourself. And let me tell you, it is never more important than it is in a crisis. Okay, so I came up with this new way to think about negotiation that was about steering relationships. And I have to tell you that I've really been putting this into practice. So I wrote the book and I've been working through it myself. And I found that by steering my relationships effectively, I've been able to continue to offer what I have, even in the midst of a horrendous crisis. In fact, we are going forward with my book in May because I managed to generate so many pre-orders based on relationships that Simon & Schuster felt they could continue to offer me in May instead of pushing me back to next year. So it is possible to continue to serve and offer to people in a crisis. Okay, so I'll tell you quickly about the book in a minute, and then I'm going to get to my special tips that you can use right now during this time. So the book is called Ask for More, 10 Questions to Negotiate Anything. And it is just that. It's just 10 questions. It's 5 incredible questions that you can ask yourself first, right? How do I get myself right? How do I steer my internal conversation? I think a lot of times what I used to do and what I find people often do is they approach people or they offer or they invite, but they haven't taken the time to figure out sort of what problems they're trying to solve, what they really need from this interaction. They haven't taken the time to like sort through their feelings. And have you ever been in a period of life where you felt like you were just trying a million different things and nothing was sticking and nothing was working? I've been there, and it's because you haven't asked yourself the right questions to get set and get your strategy before you go out to steer those other relationships, right? So my book, the first 5 questions are the questions you ask yourself, and that is called the mirror section. And it's because until you fix the inside, until you look at yourself and ask yourself the right questions, the questions you ask other people are not going to land. You will not be able to invite as successfully, grow as successfully, steer yourself as successfully as you will if you've just taken a bit of time to focus in the right direction. And then I give you 5 amazing questions that you can ask other people, right? And I talked about this a little bit on the wake up call. It's the difference between saying, you know, like the usual questions we ask people, sort of like, Alex, you know, do you want to try 10 rounds? Right? A closed question that's like a yes or no. You know, we have this great product. Do you want to try it? Most of the time, if people ask me a question like that and it's a yes no question, what's my easiest answer? No. But if you are reaching out to me and asking me, Alex, like, how are you feeling right now? What do you need most? You know, tell me what your day-to-day life looks like for you. Those are questions that really force me to engage with you and to think about, right? If somebody said to me, Alex, what do you need as you get ready to launch your book? That's a whole other question. I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, I need to hydrate. I need quick workouts that really get my heart rate up, because I find when I sweat, I'm less anxious, right? So I'd be like telling you things, or I'm worried about my nutrition. You know, I'm not going to be able to get all the fruits and vegetables from the store because everything's empty. I think you've got some solutions for that, right? So the broader the question you ask, the broader the invitation you create to people to help be in community with you. By just asking open questions, I have to tell you, I have been more successful in offering and inviting than I could ever imagine possible. And it's not because I'm pushing, it's because I am serving first. I'm opening up a conversation with people where they know that, like, I really feel what they're going through and I want to understand them and get to know them. And then they trust me. And when they trust me, they will be partners with me forever, not just now through a crisis, but like when things get better too. So that's a bit about, you know, what negotiation is and what I do. So it's much more about the questions you ask than about like trying to make a deal. And this leads me to my guide for negotiating through a crisis. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a few tips here that I have never given anywhere before. And this is the roadmap that I have been using to steer me and my book and my business through this terrible, terrible time. Okay. The first is, remember that negotiation is steering relationships. I want you to remember that relationships create the deal and not the other way around. People want relationships like all the time, but in a time of crisis, that is really what they need. They need people that they feel close to, that they feel they can trust, who they know really, really want to serve them. And so in a crisis, what I am doing more than anything else is I am prioritizing relationships and I'm thinking about how do I serve people. So what that looks like for me and what it can look like for you is a couple things. First of all, I'm thinking about how I can serve people without expectations. So for me, that has meant I've created a couple of free programs, like free webinars that people can use, and they can forward. You know, there's no charge, they're totally open. And when I created them, I thought, oh my gosh, should I be charging? It's a tough time. You know, I could really use that. And then I thought, nope, I'm just going to serve. And when I sent out some stuff for free, the number of people who called me back and said, you know, would you do this just for my organization? We'd love to hire you, was staggering to me, right? So serving first. The other thing is finding points of common interest with people that have nothing to do with my book. For you, this would be finding points of interest that have nothing to do with Beachbody, okay? So what might those be? For me, it's been around homeschooling right now. I mean, who here on this call is feeling like a complete homeschool mom failure? Okay. Like I posted in a giant quarantine board. People were posting their schedules and everything else. And I posted a picture of my shit show of a dining room. Sorry for the profanity. Okay. So like piles of stuff on it. And I wrote to people and I was like, hey, just thought I would share my homeschool organization system. I hope it serves you. I got thousands of comments and people writing to me and saying, oh my God, me too, I'm in the thick of it. So homeschooling is one. Another thing is cooking. I love to cook. And when I tell you ladies, like I put out a lot of content on my social media, the stuff that I cook is the stuff that people engage with me over, right? They want to connect, they want to share recipes, that type of stuff. And it's amazing. People have written to me about my crispy eggs, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, what products are you offering, or when does your book go on sale, right? So create the relationship, and don't worry right now about the sale. Build the relationships, and the sale will come eventually, okay? All right, so my first tip was recognizing that the relationship creates the offer. Okay, the second is, how do you create relationships in time of crisis? And I have two tips for you here. One is to be the light, and the other is to share the dark. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by that. Being the light means, right, that you are out there modeling or demonstrating like the things we want to see in this world. People want generosity, they want community, they want contribution. I'm going to get emotional here, but I have friends who are sick. I have friends who have lost businesses, and I am out there. I'm not telling people what I'm doing. I'm just trying to show up for people. I'm writing encouraging notes on their business page. I'm sharing their efforts, their virtual programs with other people, right? I'm thinking about, if I were in that position, what would I want people to do for me? And I'm out there trying to do it for people. I've been donating money where I can, right? And so being the light means just being the change you want to see in the world. And when people see you modeling the light, right, they want to be part of whatever you're doing. They just want to be part of it. You don't have to tell people, like, this is what Beachbody stands for. You're just out there showing it, right? You are showing them the light. So that's what I want to share with you. Now, we're not all light right now. There's substantial like dark that each one of us is going through. And I bet that each one of you has some specific stuff that you are going through right now that is really hard. And it's important to share that with people also, because, you know, nobody wants, may I say, to be like in community with somebody who is like all positive all the time during this, because it doesn't really resonate. And so for me, what this has meant, and this is like pretty personal, but my dad is in hospice care. He's dying of a brain disease, and I can't visit him. And I saw him back in February, and like, I may not see him alive again. It depends on if he like continues to eat. And when I tell you that, I thought about, should I share this? And I did. And that generated more community, more support than anything else I have posted about my book or anything else, because a lot of us are in this situation. We are worried for our parents. Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all prayers and good thoughts, just as I'm sending those out to you. So it's important to be a real person, right? To be the light for people, to be out there showing people what you stand for, but also to let them know that you are struggling with them. You know, I saw an exercise instructor yesterday who said, I don't have the answers. I just want you to know I'm with you. And that is like the most powerful thing that you can do for people during a crisis. Okay, so thinking about how you can be the light, and how can you courageously share the dark that you are experiencing right now. Okay, those are my two tips. I'm going to give you three more. The third one is to find out what people's needs are. And here's where I'm going to give you like a substantial tip from the book that is, I think, one of the most useful things right now. There are two types of things that people can need right now, okay? One is what I call tangibles. They may say, Alex, I need to take off 20 pounds. I need to lower my blood pressure by 20 points. I need a workout that's only 20 minutes because I'm trying to homeschool my kids, okay? Sometimes people have tangible needs. Other times they have what I call intangible needs. And those are, you can't see, touch, or count them, but they're the things that like give our lives meaning, okay? So people might say, Alex, I'm so lonely, I really need a community, you know, or I need financial security, right? And so those are intangible needs, and it's really, really important for us to know those, right? Because a lot of times those are what drive people to accept an offer or reject an offer, right? Our needs dictate basically everything we do in life, okay? So we've got our two buckets, tangible and intangible, okay? And now, and I should mention, I have a handout that has all of this information that I'm gonna make available to you guys at the end of this call, but I'm also gonna go through it now here with you. Okay, so let's go back to our tangible needs, okay? I'm gonna teach you how to dig deeper underneath the tangible, because you know, sometimes when people say to you, Kat, I need to lose 20 pounds, can I join Beachbody? Like, that often isn't enough of a why for them to stick with it for the long term. Anyone else experience this? Like the folks who are like, I just need to lose weight, right? They don't stick with it. So I'm gonna give you the question to help you dig underneath that, okay? So if somebody gives you a tangible need, you can ask them, what would life look like if you achieved that, right? What would life look like if you had a 20-minute workout, if you lost 20 pounds, if you took your blood pressure down, okay? Because what's underneath that is what is going to drive them to be in community with you for the long term, right? So many of you may know I'm a private client of Autumn's. And I reached out to her initially because I wanted to lose 10 pounds, okay? That was like barely the tip of the iceberg. What that really was about was that I had been kind of a prisoner of disordered eating for many, many, many years. And the 10 pounds was just my way of saying, I really want to learn how to love myself. That's it. And it wasn't until I got deep with her on that she taught me how to love myself anyway. And when I learned how to love myself anyway, I naturally, yes, lost a bit of weight, but I also frankly threw out the scale. I just started eating in ways that were going to like feed me and feed my soul and keep me nourished. And the amount that my life has transformed since then is beyond what I could have imagined. And I will be her client until I am in the ground, right? Why? Because she helped me get underneath that meaningless number of 10 pounds and figure out what I really, really needed was a way to love myself and find myself worthy no matter where I was. Okay, so what would life look like if you achieved that? Now, if they tell you an intangible need, if they tell you, Jill, you know, I really need a sense of community, okay? That's amazing. You've kind of been handed the keys to the kingdom. Now, you need to ask them a question to help make that concrete so you can help them achieve it, okay? So if they tell you an intangible need, like, I need financial independence, I need peace in my life, I need community, you ask them, what would financial independence, peace, etc., look like for you, okay? Because it's important for people to picture, right? Like, if they want to be in community, if they want to feel less lonely, if they want to feel connected to something greater than them, what does that look like for them? Have them spell it out, because then you have concrete stuff that you can work with them on, right? They've imagined what that community is going to look like. They've imagined the financial security. They've imagined the self-love, you know? And so then that is a person who's going to stick with you as a challenger. Maybe they're going to fall in love. They're going to become a coach, and they're going to want to give that to other people. Okay? So that is how you get underneath people's needs and serve them a little bit better. Okay. So my last two tips coming now. Tip number 4 is about emotions, okay? And I want you guys to know that, I mean, we are all feeling the feelings right now. I mean, just to keep it real, I cry, I think, once a day, right? We have people in my town who like are sick. My daughter is all up in my business all hours of the day, and I love her. God, I love her, right? It's a lot, and I only have one. So those of you who have multiple children in the home, I salute you for your service. I have no idea how you do it. It is insane. Okay. So I'll be honest, I'm laughing and crying all the time. Now, the thing is, I cannot invite people from my place of anxiety or desperation. right? So every morning when you get up during a crisis, you got to sit down and journal and ask yourself, what am I feeling today? Okay. Why? Because we're all feeling stressed. We may be feeling desperate. In fact, we may even, I'll just be real with you. Okay. Sometimes I send out invites and it's so important to me right now. It's like I've got a book coming out in 5 weeks and I think to myself, why is this person not getting back to me? Right? Like, let's be real. Have you ever felt like, this is important to me. I wish they would see how important it is. Okay. So it is important for you to acknowledge your feelings. If you're feeling desperate, congratulations and welcome to the club, right? If you're feeling anxious, frustrated, all of the above, you journal it, right? And then you have to do your best, whatever you can do to release that, because you cannot invite from that place of, right, desperation, anxiety, annoyance, whatever it might be. You got to get your brain right and do whatever you do. For me, it's yoga or meditation or going outside for like a brisk walk or getting my sweat on. I do that, and then I've cleared the decks to be in a place to invite people, okay? Now, we also need to be mindful of how people are feeling and ask them about it. Why? Not only because it'll invite people to be more open, right? To ask them sort of what emotions they're experiencing. You can do that personally. You can do that over social media. Ask people to like use a color-coded heart, right? Or like you could ask people to use one word to describe an emotion they're feeling that day. Get people talking about their feelings. Why? Did you guys know, I wrote about this in my book, that feelings are the way we make decisions? So there was a neurologist who studied people whose brains were totally intact, except the part that dealt with emotions was damaged. And do you know, those folks couldn't decide what to eat for dinner every night. Why? Because our emotions drive our decisions. So I want you to get yourself right on your feelings, acknowledge them, get on this call, right? If you need a productive place to vent your feelings, call a team member and saying, I'm feeling really annoyed today, right? And then clear the decks and be there to ask other people how they are feeling. Feelings are how they make decisions, okay? All right, that's number 4. The last one, and this is, I'm going to give you right here my life motto. This is the thing, it's the question I ask myself, or the thing that I use as a test for everything I do. So my personal life motto is this. It's only do what only you can do. Okay? Only do what only you can do. What does that mean? It means that I'm never, ever showing up out there as anybody but myself. And I'll tell you a personal story. So I'm a law professor, and let me tell you what kind of stuff law professors are supposed to write, okay? We're supposed to write articles that other law professors read. We're supposed to write textbooks that are like, the fancy sort of seal of approval in people's fields, okay? That's what we're supposed to write. And I got an offer a few years ago to write a textbook. And I thought, okay, great. That's the thing I'm supposed to do. And then something in my heart told me, this is not what only I can do. A lot of people can write a textbook, but what I think I can do that nobody else at Columbia Law School can do, and like what I'm really passionate about, is talking to people outside the law, like regular folks who have not been to law school, right? I go into small claims court. I help folks from a variety of different areas. And I love talking to people who aren't lawyers, who are coaches, who are HR folks, right? Who might be in business for themselves, and helping them like steer their lives to greater success and happiness. And when I leaned into what only I can do, all of a sudden I wrote a book, I landed a big book deal, and like I'm out there now serving thousands of people. So what does that mean for you? It means that you don't copy and paste what other folks are doing out there or who they are being for people. It means you think about why you were put on this earth, who you were meant to serve, who you are at your core. I want you to think of the people close to you in your life. What do they come to you for? What would they say about you, right? What are the unique communities maybe that only you can reach? And then I want you to go out and do that, because that is when you will be most successful, and especially in a crisis, is to think about who you are as your story. And this doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be the person who's completed her fitness journey, okay? If I were out there as a coach, I'll tell you right now, okay? I don't have that kind of like six pack or the abs that like a lot of folks, you know, maybe who are top trainers do, right? Like that's one kind of person that maybe they're looking to reach. If I were out there, I would be the person who's like, who else has suffered from years of disordered eating? Who else thinks that unless they're perfect, they're worthless, right? Because if that's you, you're my people, right? And I'm here to help you learn how to love yourself the way I did. And so that even if you're suffering from an eating disorder or all sorts of stuff, right? You can come back from that. You can learn to love yourself exactly as you are, right? And so there are going to be people out there who are serving the six pack folks. There are going to be people who are serving up some self-love. There are going to be people who are serving military families, right? Or police officers, or people from their religion, or people who have kids with special needs. Whatever it might be, I want you to think about what only you can do on this earth and serving people in that. And it doesn't have to be the grandest, it can just be the most ordinary ways that you show up in this life. And when you operate from that truest place, from your own highest and best, from your like authentic self, that's when you are going to connect and find your people and be the most successful. So those are my tips. And so I will pause here. I'm going to take a look at the chat, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Guys, go ahead and use the chat if you want to ask anything. Thank you so much for that. So appropriate and something I think we can all relate to. And I think at the end of the day, we just can't stop. Like there is still so much work that we can do. We may have to modify it a little bit. And if we focus on serving and connection with our own mission, we can still make a really amazing impact out there. I'm just reading through the comments. I'll take this link too, that link you copied, and when I share the recording of the call, I'll make sure that I include this link with that as well, so people have that.
Yeah, thank you. So that is a link to the handout that I have prepared for Beachbody. I will be on the Champions page tomorrow talking about this. And in the coming months, I'm actually preparing a complete guide. So my book is called Ask for More, right? And I'm going to be preparing a complete guide to how to ask for more in a crisis for anybody who has purchased the book, right? So it's 27 bucks on Amazon. Anybody who has purchased the book, you will get a complete guide to how to use it right now, right? It's going to be almost like a whole other book in there, because I want to serve people as well as I can, like during this time. Thank you so much, Betsy. I appreciate all prayers for my dad. I'm actually going to post. Okay, so the book is. Okay, yes. Oh, and my Instagram, I'm actually on there a fair bit. And so if anybody would like to see any family pictures, including my dad, I actually did get up to see him in February. I wrote this book really fast so that I might be able to give it to him before he died. And he made it. And so we had a moment in February where I went up there. He can't speak anymore, but I handed him the book and I read him the part where I thanked him in the acknowledgments. And he like looked at it and looked at me and like cried. It was honestly, I mean, next to maybe the birth of my daughter and my wedding day, like the best moment of my life. So if you want to get to know who I am a little bit more, you could see more of that on there. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. Any comments from any of you guys or questions, right, about stuff that you're facing? I want to let you know that sometimes people have asked me questions over DM on Instagram. If you want to do that, you can do that as well, or through the email at my site.
else. Thank you. Like, make us all cry as we end the call. I'm like the sob master here. But that was just, I feel like as I like think about what you did and as you wrote the book and how you know, had to yell pivot here at the end and you're getting ready for launch and you didn't just stick with what you were doing and just launch the book. You didn't stop because something happened. You pivot and you're like, okay, well, I've got this great product and now this is going on. So I'm going to make it fit right now. And I think, you know, we can all do that with our business. Like, it's the end of the month. We still have goals. We don't have to say, well, this was the month coronavirus hit, and just give up. Like, we can pivot, serve differently, and still be able to help other people. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy and homeschooling as well. So, you know, cheers to third grade girls, because they're thanks guys for getting on today. I hope everyone has an awesome day. I'll get the recording up and I'll include that link so as you share this with your teams, everyone will have that as well. So thank you very much. Thanks again, Alex. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks for having me. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.